everyone. It's the much anticipated wild card recap and divisional playoff round prediction show. A lot of people, Eric, have been asking me if you're on suicide watch or if you're okay.
Not the greatest line to ask, especially what I just went through.
I know.
But I am okay. I'm actually more ticked about 2002 than I am about this game when I think back about it. But it is what it is, man. It's a game. You live and die with your team. And you know what? There's always going to be a next year. We heard Cub fans say that for 108 years until it finally came true. So,
Yeah.
It's a learning curve. It's a parallel with the LA Rams, and I'm saying that because I believe it's true. There's way too many parallels, and I think they can only get better.
Yeah, I agree. Well, let's start with me and you both went 3-1 this week, and really I should have been 4-0. I picked the Bears on your behalf, but I wasn't real sure about that game. You remember how on edge I was about it. But as far as this one goes, we both kind of saw this coming from a mile away. Indy looked great. Their defense shut down the Texans' run. They made them one-dimensional. Deshaun Watson did not have a chance. And he was the first of the first-year postseason quarterbacks to go down. And go down he did. That game might have been 21-7, Eric, but it felt an awful lot like the Rams-Eagles game from '89, where LA had control the whole way. They were the road team, and you didn't get the feeling that the Eagles are going to get off the mat. I didn't get the feeling that the Texans were going to get off the mat. Touchdown, no touchdown, it didn't matter. And as the game unfolded, Andrew Luck looked great. Mac looks unstoppable. This Colt defense is only getting better. I'm becoming a huge fan of Leonard. And I'm telling you right now the same thing I told my buddy Jim. Ever since the Patriots cheated in 2001, I've really struggled to find that second AFC team that I can really get behind and root for. And as much as I like Josh Allen, and I thought that was going to be the Bills, I just can't bring myself to root for, boy, I love to lose Super Bowls. I root for him, but I'm not rooting for that team. But you know, it's really hard for me not to root for the Colts. I like their coach. I like their quarterback. I like their running back. I like their makeup. And I don't see this team going away anytime soon.
Yeah, they're going to be a very difficult out. They had control from their first possession. They had 5 possessions. They scored 3 touchdowns. They had a tipped pass at the line of scrimmage that was intercepted, and then they ran out the half. Credit the Texans. Actually, they didn't give up. Yes, it did seem like 21-7 was the tallest of all mountains.
Yeah.
But the Texans hung in there. They actually finally decided to play defense in the second half. And while it was already an insurmountable lead, Hopkins must have been really hurting more than he let on during the regular season because he just did not look like himself. I mean, that's what happens when you have your second outside receiver go down. But man, holy cow, Kiki Cutie, have yourself a game, young man. 10 receptions, 110 yards, and a touchdown. Unbelievable. Who saw that coming? I thought he might have had a good game, but without the presence of Demaryius Thomas on the other side, he just ran wild. Yeah. They couldn't get anything else going. Lamar Miller was pretty much bottled up all day. Alfred Blue was bottled up pretty much all day. Hopkins only had 30, 40 yards receiving. And then the tight ends were nowhere to be found. Watson was running for his life, and that Texans defense was getting battered and rammed from every which way. But you mentioned Mac; he had himself a great game. T.Y. Hilton really made himself known on the first drive. He had 60 yards receiving the first drive, and really was quiet afterwards, which I was surprised with how well he's done against Texans. But then you have, and I mentioned him. I said, watch out for Dontrell Inman. And what does he do? He catches a couple of big passes and gets a touchdown. And then, of course, you have Eric Ebron in there. He scored the first touchdown. He's going to be a huge weapon for Indy throughout the rest of the playoffs, no matter if they move on against Kansas City or if they get beat against Kansas City. He's going to have a big role.
Yeah. It's going to be interesting to watch that happen. So, great game. Colts advance. Go ahead and watch the little bit of a funny clip that I'm going to be doing for all the helmets coming up. So, Colts advance to play the Kansas City Chiefs. Colts 6 seed at Kansas City, Eric. I guess that begs the question. For me, it doesn't beg a question. For me, this Colt team reminds me a lot of the 95 Colts, except they have a much better quarterback, and no disrespect to Jim Harbaugh, but Andrew Luck is a once-in-a-generation quarterback if he stays healthy. Kansas City, I don't know about you, but I cannot pick the Chiefs as long as they have this situation going on. And that situation is they get to the postseason and they lay an egg. Kelsey gets injured, they're done. If Tyreek Hill pulls a hamstring or, gets hit hard enough and he goes down, I have a feeling the Chiefs are done. I think Kansas City is fragile right now. The Colts are stopping the run. They can make the Chiefs one-dimensional. That is one dang dangerous one dimension, though, that the Chiefs bring to the table. But I don't know. I just have a feeling that this Colt team is going to go. I dare say it, but I'm going to pick it. I think the Colts go into Kansas City, and I think they win. And I think it's going to be a nip-and-tuck game the whole way, but I think Mac's going to be the difference. The Chiefs all year long have not been able to stop the run. They have not been able to stop a competent quarterback all year long. And their defense or their offense has shown signs of how to be beat, and I think the Colts have the perfect makeup. They got a stout front four. They got a linebacker that can keep up with any of their backs out of the backfield. Their corners are relatively unknown, but doesn't that scare you when you don't know the other team's corners? It means they're not getting burned a lot or very often. So I'm looking at this game, and I'm going to say it. I think the Colts pull this one out. I think it's going to be close. I think it's going to be like a 27-26 kind of game. Look for a field goal at the end of the game to win it, but I'm going to go Indy winning this game, and I'm even going to go with that 27-26 score. I just think it's going to come down to Andrew Luck in the fourth quarter driving his team to the game-winning field goal, and I think the Colts advance to the AFC Championship game.
What I'm interested in seeing about this game is, I know the Colts have a tough road record or a tough road to get to the Super Bowl if they want to get there. And going through Kansas City is not always the easiest, unless your team is Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
They seem to own the Chiefs in Kansas City whenever they play them. But Andrew Luck is a poised quarterback. It's been great to actually watch him this year and see what he can do, especially with the weapons around him, and now with an offensive line, especially with a rookie guard in Quentin Nelson. I'm gonna throw a stat out at you, and my goodness, this has never happened in the NFL, where two quarterbacks combined for an insane amount of touchdown passes, and they had 89 combined between them. 50 for Mahomes, 39 for Andrew Luck. Watch all the touchdowns be rushing touchdowns.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, because it's a regular season offensive fest. I mean, passing stats don't impress me. They just don't.
But here's the thing. These teams are going to pass. Yes. To sustain drives, Mac's going to get a lot of carries. I wouldn't be surprised if he has upwards of 20. On the Chiefs side, they're going to keep using Damian Williams until somebody stops him, because he really has been putting the team on his back in the rushing department. Spencer Ware is not going to start in this game. It's going to be Damian Williams. And the way that he runs and catches the ball out of the backfield, but I'm going more rushing on this one because both running backs catch the ball out of the backfield. He utilizes the hole so well, Williams does, that makes the most of every single run that I have seen against any other running back that I have watched. And he's got a very small sample size. I actually expect it to continue against this Colts defense. And I know the Colts are very familiar with the Texans, and I think that really helped them in shutting down the Texans offense and beating them 2 out of 3 times. Kansas City is a different animal. You throw deep to Tyreek Hill, he gets one step on you, he's gone. Who's going to guard Travis Kelce? Okay, is it going to be the rookie Darius Leonard? I don't know. Okay, so Kelce, Hill, Williams. I mean, Mahomes can pick and choose where he goes to, and when your other 3 guys are covered, there's Chris Conley. There's they had another wide receiver. His name escapes me. He caught a couple of touchdowns toward the end of the year. But here's what's going to happen. Here's the difference between what Kansas City has done and what the Colts have done. The Kansas City has lost 4 games this year, 2 in which teams didn't play defense, or defense was played, but it wasn't played the greatest. The Rams and the Patriots. Okay, those were high-scoring affairs. Yes, I know the Rams got 2 touchdowns and the Chiefs got a touchdown, but it was 51-48 or whatever
54-51 or something.
54-51. And they lost 43-40, I believe, to the Patriots early on in the year. But then, they faced the Chargers. They lose 29-28. The Chargers played great defense against them. They played against the Seahawks. The Seahawks beat them by 2 scores and really shut down Kansas City's offense. Indy can play defense. Okay? Luck can sustain drives, and so can Mahomes. But I think with the better running attack, with the utilization of the tight end I think Ebert's going to be more utilized than Kelce in this game, to be honest with you. But the Colts can play defense. They can get after the quarterback. If they can get Mahomes down a couple of times as far as sacks go, it's going to be a Colts victory. Kansas City's at home. That place is going to be rocking in Arrowhead. I really want to pick the Chiefs, but Colts 31, Chiefs 27.
I mean, it's hard to pick the Chiefs because of their head coach and their track record in that stadium in the postseason.
It is, but I won't be surprised if the Chiefs.
I won't either. If they blow them out.
Yeah,
I wouldn't either. I wouldn't either.
I won't be surprised.
The Chiefs are certainly capable of doing that. All right, that's it. You got our first wrap up and our first review. Next, Dallas and Seattle. So Dallas plays Seattle. Game went exactly the way me and you thought it would. Dallas did a much better job of stopping the 3-headed monster that is Seattle and their running attack. They shut down Russell Wilson for most of the game. They almost stupidly let him back in the game at the end, but wisely made them call all their timeouts and kind of put them in a tough position. Onside kicking, I hope the NFL is happy. They've ruined special teams in the NFL forever. And I really want to see them do away with these rules. I'm going to talk about one of the rule changes too, matter of fact, because of this game. So they want to make players more safe today, right, Eric?
Correct.
Did you know that we've had more broken legs or ankles this year than in the previous 10 seasons combined? And I'm talking severe leg breaks.
Nope, did not know that.
Yeah. And you know why? Because defenders are no longer driving their body through the player. They're driving their body to the player and then falling on limbs. And when you have 350 pounds or 225 pounds of solid muscle falling on a bone, that's not going to end well for your body. So, once again, are we really safer? We've got guys now that will probably never walk the same ever again. So, yeah, they don't have concussions, but now they're in wheelchairs. I hope the NFL is happy. Hearns went down with a broken leg, and it was disgusting. The only way I can explain it is his leg exploded. That's the only way I can explain it, huh?
It was his ankle.
The lower ankle. Well, it wasn't just the ankle. The ankle broke, and then the bone that the ankle's supposed to attach to exploded. It was disgusting.
Yeah, it looked really bad. Like I've seen bad ankle breaks like that before, but It's hard to watch.
It is. And once again, these stupid rules that these idiots in suits who think they're making the game better, and many of them have never even played professional football, and those that have forgotten why they aren't in a wheelchair and why they are healthy and able to make these decisions while the rest of the, I've never bought into this argument to begin with. Now, getting back to the game, go ahead.
I do want to, let me add one thing to that. I was actually on Twitter after that happened, and everybody on the field knew what had happened or whatnot. But what's interesting to me is that a lot of Cowboys players called out the Seahawks defensive tackling techniques and said that could have been easily avoided. So I'm not saying I don't want to say it's a dirty play that what happened, but it kind of throws up a red flag for me, saying,
okay,
hey, if what they're doing is not sportsmanlike, obviously it's not going to get called. But if they're tackling a different way that they're not supposed to be tackling.
Oh, Eric, that's just it though. That's just it. They're not. When I was coaching football, they were trying to teach us the Hawks tackling technique after the Seattle Seahawks. The NFL reveres them. The ownership and the higher-ups revere them as that's how you're supposed to play today. So, once again, it's only furthering my point that these rule changes, when you do it properly, it's dangerous. It's more dangerous now than it ever was before. But it is what it is. And Dallas is right. I don't think it was dirty. It could have easily been avoided, but that's the way the NFL wants you to tackle. Take your body out of the equation and lean your weight on limbs, because that's a safe way to tackle. Now, back to the game. Ezekiel Elliott was a train. No one could stop him. Dak Prescott played his best game I've seen him play all year long. Really doubled off of the Giants' road game last week that he looked really good in. But there was a lot of reasons why I knew Dallas would win this game. I felt like their defense was better than the Seahawks' offensive line. That was evident. I felt like the offensive unit on Dallas was better than Seattle's defensive unit. That was obvious, even after Hearns went out with the injury. Like, I wasn't, at any point was I nervous in this game. Like, I just knew Dallas was going to win. And Seattle scored the touchdown. I'm like, oh, an onside kick? Yeah, good luck recovering that, because no one recovers onside kicks. Something like 4% of all onside kicks have been recovered this year, of all those that have been attempted. So basically, it's like it was prior to the onside kick being legal. You basically have to play from 12 minutes on. You have to play for 2 possessions. And I'm not gonna be surprised when teams start calling timeouts with 6 and 5 minutes to go in the game, because they're not even gonna friggin' try the onside kick. But give Seattle credit. They didn't fight. They kept coming. But, yeah, Seattle, you're rebuilding. And my prediction is next year you won't even be in the playoffs. You guys have fallen from the mighty. And everybody keeps talking about, oh, Seattle's, going to only get better. No, they're going to lose even more players this year. Earl Thomas. I'm sure they're going to lose Wagner at some point. Trade, free agency, whatever the case may be. This is not a football team getting better. This is a football team hanging on to the twilight of its life. And Dallas might have just choked it right out of them.
It's interesting you say that. It's more of a retool for them. They're not rebuilding, they're retooling. And, they still have Carson and Davis and Lockett and Baldwin. And I know you said they're losing Earl Thomas. They lost Earl Thomas in week 5, okay? They did all this. They did a lot of this without Earl Thomas. So they just need to retool on defense. They're going to be right back to where they were. They're going to be competitive. They may not make the playoffs, but they'll be competitive. Russell Wilson is not a bad quarterback. Give him a little bit more credit, will you?
Well, I'm not saying that Seattle's going 3-13, Eric. But 7-9, 8-8.
Hey, 7-9 got him in the playoffs one year. So
don't even go there. Don't even go. This is a Rams show. Don't even go there.
I'm just. It's not a Rams show. We're talking about total football.
No. Hey, I'm telling. So for those of you that don't know, Eric knows. I went on an epic rant. You think my rants are good? You should have heard the one back then. Okay, because the Rams should have been 12-4, but the league rigged every game the Rams were in. I have never seen so many bad calls go one direction for an entire... The Rams should have been 12-4. I'm just going to end it with that. The fact that it was the... Okay, anyway, we're going to go on. Speaking of the Rams...
my take on this game, he pretty much hit all the points. Elliott was a beast. Even with that he was nice to see Amari Cooper actually step up and make some catches and get some yards. And you're right, Dak played a great game. He had a bad interception, but it didn't hurt him. The Seahawks fell just 2 points short, and who knows what would have happened if Janikowski would hit that 53-yard field goal at the end of the first half.
Yeah, before he blew his hamstring out?
Yeah, pretty much. So, it was a game that I figured Dallas would win. Seattle made it closer than I thought they would. They didn't give up. They played well. But Dallas moves on, and they're gonna ride Elliott as long as they can in the playoffs.
That's right. Before we get into the Ram-Dallas Cowboy rivalry, I have a promise to uphold from my video earlier this week. You're going to watch the last 2 times the Rams have played Dallas in the Divisional Playoff game. The first clip is from 1979. It's known in Ram lore as the Billy Waddy Hail Mary. Wasn't much of a Hail Mary. You'll see that on the play and the commentating just before they went to commercial break. And Roger Staubach's final comeback fell short. The second clip you're going to see is about 3 minutes long, and it's from Road to the Super Bowl 1985, and it's covering the Ram-Cowboy playoff game. And they do a great job. And I think what you see in this second clip is what you're going to see Saturday night. Take a look.
It is 19-14 Dallas. And Vince Ferragamo back at the wheel again. No timeouts left for the Rams, remember. 2 minutes and 16 seconds left. They send Ron Smith wide left. Drew Hill is inside Waddy in the slot right. And Ferragamo with a lot of time gets it to Waddy. He's going to go for a touchdown.
You know what it is? You know what it is, Vince? It's what I've said this entire football game. A 3-man rush all day to throw. You can cover with 25 guys, but if you don't rush that quarterback, here it is. You're in trouble. All day to throw.
And Waddy cut right into the opening and then just outran everybody.
You see, all those people back there don't mean a thing if you give that quarterback time to throw.
This crowd is in a state of shock.
It's like they beat the Redskins last week. This is the opposite right now. Of course, they got time to come back.
Here it is. Hegman got his fingertips on the ball, but couldn't knock it offline. And Waddy, like a loaf of bread, carried that football triumphantly into the end zone. It is 20-19 Rams. We have 2 minutes and 6 seconds left. And so once again, Roger Staubach is going to fight a 2-minute clock. The kick is good. The difference now, of course, a field goal can still pull it out. It is 21-19 Rams with 2 minutes and 6 seconds left in the game.
This afternoon, the Rams take on the Dallas Cowboys, the winners of the Eastern Division of the NFC in this first round of play here at Anaheim Stadium. So it's off to the playoffs again for the Rams for the 3rd year in a row under John Robinson. They finished overall with an 11-5 mark.
Win the game on defense. Oh, let's go. Quick start. Here we go.
The Rams-Cowboys game would not be a thing of beauty. It would be decided by the bludgeoning battles waged in the trenches of football's no man's land. The Dallas line proved no match against the Rams. The Texans had swaggered into Anaheim boasting of victory, but these Cowboys proved to be all hat and no cattle. The Rams took a 3-0 lead. and the defense made sure it was a lead they would never lose.
White takes a snap, back to throw, rolling out to the right side, setting the throw. Myers up to the right, intercepted by Jerry Gray. Back to the 30, to the 35, and that kills off the Cowboy drive, and the Rams have it first down at their 35.
Eric Dickerson then sent the Cowboys and long-held records tumbling as he rushed for a league playoff record of 248 yards, the greatest single-game performance in Rams history.
Peter Brock comes out of there as the quarterback. Turns and gives to the tailback Dickerson. Pops it up the middle of the 40. 40 to the 30, to the 20, to the 15, to the 10, to the 5. Touchdown! 55 yards.
That's the nice piece of running, showing you, look at this and take that. In your face, Dorsett. He had a cornerback trying to get to him, but he just laid it down and put it down into another gear. That's fun to watch.
They call that play. Lost 49 pitch. Well, you don't see me.
Back to throw is White, being rushed, being hit, back at the 50 and sacked.
For the first time in 36 playoff games, the Cowboys were shut out. And as their numbers dwindled, Eric Dickerson's totals grew larger.
Peter Brock works on 2nd and 10 now. Turns out and pitches off to Dickerson. Hard right, at the 40, 35, 30, down to the 20, 15, down to the 10, to the 5. Touchdown!
Whoa! Did he do that? Yes.
So it's funny to me, Eric, that I had to give a history lesson on this rivalry. No two teams have met more times in the NFL playoffs once Saturday kicks off than the Los Angeles Rams and the Dallas Cowboys. They will have met for the 9th time in franchise history. Right now they're tied. Packers, Giants, Bears, Giants, and I think there's like 2 other teams that have played 8 times in the postseason. But this will be number 9 for the Rams, 10 if you count the playoff bowl from 1969, which I don't, but whatever. The Rams won that one 31-0. The Rams and Cowboys in the postseason are tied 4-4, as I said before. Their Rams are 1-1 in the wild card round against Dallas, but they're 3-1 against Dallas in the divisional round. Then in the championship round, they're 0-2, and that's where you get your 4-4. So looking at this matchup, I'm really interested in, first of all, I'm interested in what you have to say, but I'm going to kind of say my thoughts on this first, okay? First and foremost, Dallas's road statistics, they're a different team on the road. The Rams score 37 points at home. The Rams' offensive line is better than the Cowboys' defensive line. The Rams' defensive line is every bit as good as the Cowboys' offensive line, maybe even a little bit better. The secondary doesn't have to worry about Hearns and Cooper. They just have to worry about Cooper and Beasley.
And Gallup.
Well, and Gallup, that's true. But I think they're going to probably put Marcus Peters on Gallup. And the Rams' safeties are certainly better in zone coverage than they are in man coverage. And Dallas doesn't have a lot of man packages because they like to come out with a tight end and a running back, which I think benefits the Rams. The thing I'm concerned about is Dallas's running game. We haven't stopped the run all year long, and if Ezekiel Elliott goes off, this is going to be a difficult game. But I don't think Ezekiel Elliott's going to go off entirely. I'm confident. I know the experts are trying to make this to be something it isn't. No one wants to give the Rams credit. Forever's picking the friggin' Cowboys to beat the Rams because apparently the Rams have been, and this is your words, not mine, they've been coasting all year long or on autopilot. Well, if 13-3 is on autopilot, I'd hate to see what happens when this team turns it on. Maybe they'll stay on autopilot till the Super Bowl and turn on against your Chargers. That's a little shot across the bow, buddy. Look, the bottom line is if you look at this matchup for matchup, Dallas doesn't match up. I think the Rams are going to be close at halftime. They may even trail. It may be 13-10 Rams. It may be 13-10 Dallas. But at the end of the day, I think the Rams blow the doors off the Cowboys in the second half with a couple of turnovers, some stops on defense, and I think the Rams roll to a 37-13 victory. I think Todd Gurley has a big day. I think Jared Goff has a nice day. And I think Aaron Donald gets a couple sacks. And I think Ndamukong Suh makes a couple of key stops. That's how I see the game unfolding.
Well, Cowboys at Rams. One matchup I didn't see happening.
Right.
Until Sunday night was over.
No kidding.
Dallas leads the all-time series 17-16.
Mm-hmm. But they lose 14-12 against the LA Rams. The Rams are 2-5 against Dallas as the St. Louis Rams.
Right, but it's the Rams and the Cowboys. Doesn't matter where you play, the Rams and the Cowboys.
Yep.
And you're right. Dallas is different at home than they are on the road. They were 7-1 at home, 3-5 on the road. And the Dallas Cowboys averaged 212 yards per game through the year. They only had 8 road touchdowns, so 1 touchdown passing per game on the road. Their quarterback rating, 85.6. Decent, not bad, not the greatest, whatever. It's not eye-popping and striking. It doesn't shoot out, okay?
Mm-mm.
The rushing stats for Dallas on the road. They had 897 yards rushing on the road. They actually had a better yards per game average, yards per rush attempt average at 4.6 than at home. And they also scored 1 more touchdown on the road than at home, which they had 7 road touchdowns to 6 at home.
Mm-hmm.
But here's where it gets interesting. They had 112.1 yards per game on the road, and that's down 21 yards that they had more at home. Now, I'm going to say the receiving stats are roughly similar to the passing stats, but away they were just under 1,900 yards receiving on the road for a 10.7 average. They averaged 236 yards a game, about 13 less than what they averaged at home. So yeah, typically your road stats are going to be a little bit less than your home stats, but the Cowboys again 3-5 on the road, 7-1 at home. I mean, it's not like they're going to a division opponent where they know. They're going to an opponent to where there's going to be a lot of blue and yellow in the stands, and they're going into a place where if they want to have any chance, they not only need to run the ball through Ezekiel Elliott, but they need to be able to stop the run, whether it's Gurley or Anderson or whoever they put back there. As far as defense goes, they had, and this is pretty evident too, that they had more tackles on the road, mainly because they were down, so they didn't have the lead a lot of times. But they had only 13 sacks on the road compared to 26 at home.
That's a big split.
Interceptions were about equal, 5 at home, 4 on the road, and they recovered only 4 fumbles on the road as well.
So
in conclusion, I have no doubt the Rams are going to win this game over the Cowboys. I think you're going to see a calm, cool, collected Jared Goff. I think you're going to see a very close to healthy Todd Gurley, and that's going to make the world of difference for the Rams. And you're going to see a 41-23 Rams victory.
Yeah, I just don't see this game being close. I don't see how Dallas keeps up with their speed. I will say this about the crowd. I have no doubt that this is going to be 50-50, maybe even 60-40 Cowboy fans, just because Dallas travels well. But that's the case no matter where they play. They have a tremendous advantage in the crowd, or at least an equal advantage in the crowd. I think the Ram fans are going to come out in full throat, but I think there's going to be a lot of Cowboy fans there to be sure. But when has that ever phased the Rams at home? There was a lot of Viking fans there, according to Joe Buck. There was a lot of Eagle fans there. There was a lot of 49er fans there. There was a lot of Charger fans there. Actually, that's not true. They don't have a lot of fans, period. But you get the point. Every week it seems like they're talking about the crowd being split and not really a home field for the Rams.
Well, the Chargers have fans. They're just stationed in San Diego.
Yeah, exactly. So let's talk about this really quick. For me, the keys to the game are simple. Run Todd Gurley, hit the deep play action pass, convert third down. On defense for the Rams, stop Ezekiel Elliott, get pressure on Dak Prescott, and make Amari Cooper beat you. But you got to make sure that you have safety help over the top. I don't think Amari Cooper is going to have a big day against Akeem Talib, which means they're going to be forced to go to Gallup, which means LaMarcus Joyner is going to be cheating over there a little bit more because Johnson and Talib are going to have things wrapped up on their side. I think the Rams' Abikuam is more than capable of covering Jarwin, their tight end, in Dallas. And I think Littleton can cover that tight end. So one's going to be blitzing and one's going to be off in coverage. The only one that concerns me is Ezekiel Elliott out of the backfield because I think he can beat just about any linebacker in football. Eric, what are your keys?
My keys are to get the wide receivers involved early. Get Cooks and Woods involved as early as you can. That's going to open up a lot of holes for Gurley because Gurley's going to find some tough room to running the ball in the first half, especially with Jalen Smith and Leighton Vander Esch on the field and stopping as much as Gurley as they can because you know that's going to be their focus. Mm-hmm. Use the play action pass, like you said, throw it over the top, and then with your defense, make Dak stay in the pocket. Do not let him roll out because he will run for a first down or 3 or 4, and he'll be able to buy himself some time to hit an open receiver, whether that's Gallup or Jarwin or Cooper. But you know what? Keep your eye on Cole Beasley because this is the kind of game I can see him having, just going, sitting behind the linebackers, catching passes, getting those first downs, sitting drives. So this way Ezekiel Elliott can get more carries. I won't be surprised if Elliott has 35 carries or more in this game.
Try to keep the Ram offense off the field
until the game is out of hand because I think it'll be close in the first half, like 21-17, 20-14. Rams lead and then they just take off. But I just don't like the fact that the Rams have struggled against the run all year. Yeah. And now they're facing one of the top running backs in all of football who is looking at this and salivating with his matchup coming up.
Well, but I remember
I'll tell you right now, the Rams defense. Let's see here.
While you look that up, let me just say this. I remember the Colts the year they won the Super Bowl. They were an abysmal defensive unit going into the playoffs, and they completely flipped the script. Against Kansas City, against Baltimore, and then New England, obviously their offense outscored the Patriots, but their defense still made a couple of key stops in that game. And then obviously in the Super Bowl, they handled the Chicago Bears. So, I'm not too young to remember or to forget that turnaround. And the Rams certainly have more talent than Bob Sanders, which was really the only Colt anyone knew of on that defense.
You know, the Rams gave up 5.1 yards per carry and 122.3 rushing yards per game. 12 rushing touchdowns as well.
At home?
All year.
Yeah. Bet you the
So,
home.
in order for this to not keep the Cowboys close, if I'm the Rams and I win the coin toss, I take the ball first and I get out to an early lead and let Dallas play catch up. Because once you do that, you can easily take Ezekiel Elliott out of the rushing game. He'll be still involved heavily in the pass game, but the Cowboys won't be able to run as much because they'll need the time to make up the score.
We'll see. We'll see. I like the idea of getting the ball in the second half. All right, guys. You got it. Both of us are picking the Rams, and both of us are picking the Colts, surprisingly. Next up, Chargers and Ravens. Chargers and Ravens, Eric. I picked the Chargers to win this game. It unfolded exactly the way that I thought it would. I thought that Jackson would be the reason they would lose. Jackson was the reason they came back. Made a really nice throw on the first touchdown. I text you about that. But the guy, they need to give him a lot of work. This offseason will be really good for Jackson. I do think it's funny that people are sitting there trashing Joe Flacco. And even somebody had commented, even you had commented, he's better than Joe Flacco. Okay, he's better than Joe Flacco. Okay. All right. Well, that's cute, and I guess everyone's entitled to their opinion, even if it's wrong. But, you know, I really like what Harbaugh did in not putting in Flacco. I actually didn't agree with Tony Romo in putting Flacco in. Not because I was worried that the Ravens would win, but because it's his first playoff game. You can't destroy his confidence like that. You've got to let him figure it out, and figure it out he did. So, you know, maybe this will be a driving force for him, and he'll be angry about this, but I'm telling you what I told you all year long. If Jackson thinks he's going to be able to run like this over the course of his career, he's going to be sorely mistaken, and he's going to get injured. You cannot run like that in this league, especially because you're treated as a running back when you leave the pocket. And all those hits no longer apply. Oh, he can slide, Anthony. Yeah, he can. But how often until your coach starts telling you, trust the play more, look downfield? Now he's doing something he doesn't want to do, and he's still tucking and running. Running quarterbacks don't win in this league. Fran Tarkenton never won a Super Bowl. I know Steve Young won one. Okay? Randall Cunningham never got to a Super Bowl. Archie Manning, a lot of people don't realize he was a running quarterback for the Saints. He didn't win a Super Bowl. Michael Vick never won a Super Bowl. You cannot win a Super Bowl running the football as a quarterback. And they're running triple option? Really? Okay. We'll see how that looks in a couple of years. The Ravens need to work with his mechanics because his release makes Tim Tebow look like Dan Marino. I mean, he starts way down here and then brings it all the way around. And I don't hear any of those Tebow critics. Where are you? Tebow ran the ball. Tebow could run people over. Tebow had a slow release. Tebow actually won his playoff game. Jackson didn't. It's funny to me. The comparisons are there, but I don't hear the experts, and I use that term very loosely, making the comparison or commenting. And I know you're probably going to say, oh, Anthony, there's no comparison. You're right. Right now, Tebow's better. We'll see what happens over the duration of his career that he's going to get the opportunity to have that Tim Tebow wasn't. Take it away. Oh,
Anthony, there is no comparison.
Yeah, right. One last thing I want to say here. Phillip Rivers looked amazing. The Chargers defense really stepped up and played well. They created turnovers. They weren't given turnovers. They knew this kid had a hard time handling the football, and they attacked it. And that was smart, and I liked it. And it was a good approach. And They ran the ball effectively. I don't know what Eckler's doing. He looks like a fullback now, wearing all that padding up top. But it doesn't matter. The Chargers, they came out to a 23-3 lead. But I'm worried if I'm a Charger fan because against that quarterback, he came back. I got news for you. Tom Brady's not going to fumble the ball in the pocket at the end of the game with an opportunity to beat you.
Well, he did against the Eagles.
Well, that's very true. But the Chargers do not have the Eagles' defense from a year ago. Your take on this game, Eric, because you picked Baltimore.
Actually, I said the Ravens would win, but I'm taking the Chargers.
Yeah.
Because they were my Super Bowl pick.
Yeah.
And so I picked the Chargers to win 17-16. Let's not get all technical here.
All right.
So, Phillip Rivers looked pedestrian. But pedestrian was okay for the Chargers to win this game against the Ravens. You're right. They did get out to a 23-12 lead before the Ravens came back.
23-3.
It was it was 12-3 after the third quarter.
Yeah.
But yeah, and so the Chargers did pull away, but they let Baltimore back in. I think they knew when to step up. They knew how much leverage they had in this game, especially on the defensive side. They were swarming Jackson everywhere, sacking him, getting turnovers. Jackson fumbled the ball 3 times. He recovered once. 2 of them were in the first half. But I'm gonna start with the end of the game here first. Boy, oh boy, what a job by Melvin Ingram III to get in and knock the ball out of Lamar Jackson's hands. Now, I'm not going to fault Lamar Jackson for that third fumble. Okay, it was a great defensive play. If it was Peyton Manning, Marino, Elway, Staubach, Favre, Rodgers, Bart Starr, Sid Luckman, Joe Namath, they would have all fumbled too. I guarantee you that they would have all fumbled with that hit. Okay, with the hit of the football. It was a great defensive play. Mm-hmm. That's why I chalked that up too. But the Ravens had less than 100 yards rushing. Well, so did the Chargers, but I thought it was a little bit more difficult for Jackson to find room. He only had 54 yards rushing in this game, so he found it difficult to move around against a swarming Los Angeles defense. Well, the thing is with the Chargers, they went with 7 DBs for a lot of this game, and it worked. They really confused Jackson. They had never seen that before. And they were able to get away with it against Baltimore, but they might not be able to get away with something like that against the Patriots. Now, the Chargers were missing Brandon Mebane in this game, and he is a hog molly up front. Mm-hmm. Now, the reason why he missed the game is because he has a 7-week-old daughter, okay, and she has a heart condition. Mm. So he missed it. He missed to be with his family. Earlier today, she died. Okay, so he missed 4 games earlier this year because of what was going on with her. So he was away from the team, and then he didn't play. And I thought that was going to be a big loss for the Chargers, especially if they lost the game, not having Mebane in the middle there. But they were able to win the game without him, and he's going to play against the Patriots. And so I know the Chargers are going to be amped up and going to want to win that game for his daughter in that game. Word has it that Phillip Rivers will have 6 out of 9 of his kids on the offensive line so they can protect him in the game against the Patriots. But that's remained to be seen. Anyways, the passing game in this particular game really didn't come alive until the second half, especially on Baltimore's side. I mean, Michael Crabtree decided to show up with 2 catches for 38 yards and 2 touchdowns. Where he was all the rest of the game, I have no idea. He had 2 other targets in the game and couldn't come up with them. I don't know what it is about some teams who just turn it on in the third and fourth quarter, but Baltimore was one of them in the fourth quarter.
Yeah.
to give you an idea here, and I just clicked off of it for some reason because my finger slipped, but what was interesting about this game is that the Los Angeles defense had 7 sacks on Jackson compared to 1 for the Ravens.
Yeah.
They were all over the place. And
they were flying around, man.
So, yeah, and they're only going to get better. The Chargers, a lot of people, a lot of football people on Twitter were talking about the Chargers and you can't let them back in, and they're so used to doing this. They got to play defense for 4 quarters. Playoffs, it's not always easy to play defense for 4 quarters. You got to pick and choose the spots where you might ease up a little bit.
Yeah.
And the Chargers did in the 4th quarter and almost came back to bite them. If Jackson doesn't fumble, I would have been interested to see what kind of drive he would have led at the end of the game. But we'll never know. We'll never know because Melvin Ingram III played, had a great play. I'm worried about Melvin Gordon. His knees are bothering him. His ankles bothering him. And Austin Eckler, the reason why he's all padded up on top is because of his previous neck injury.
Jeez.
So I won't be surprised if you see 15 to 18 touches a game for both guys against the Patriots, where I think it's going to be a big, big Phillip Rivers game.
Okay, well, hold that.
Yeah, as far as the Ravens go, I mean, they got a lot of work to do. The defense is getting old. What are they going to do? They're going to try to trade Flacco. They might have to release him. But the Ravens, I see them going down, and it's going to might be tough times in Baltimore coming up.
Watch out for Cleveland, maybe.
Dude, I've been saying that already.
I know. To this matchup, the 11-5 Patriots at home against the 12-4 Chargers. Here's another example of the Chargers should be home rather than away in this scenario with my seeding format, but I digress. We'll go with the current seeding format because that's what we have, and we already had an argument on that. Now, I'm going to tell you right now that the Chargers should win this game. However, I think you're going to see a very similar situation with the Chargers that we all saw with Jacksonville last year in the championship game. I will let you determine what I mean by that. I also think it'll be very interesting because if the Colts do beat Kansas City, and we won't know until Sunday, this game is first. So the NFL is going to have to make a decision if the Chargers win this game. In the event that the Colts win, what do? Are they really going to play an AFC championship game in a 22,000 seat stadium? And if they do, do they understand that those season ticket holders will never go to another game? Because if they're not going to be able to have a playoff game there, what's the point of having the ticket? It's a dilemma that will be very interesting. Why am I picking the Patriots? Because the Patriots have a much more competent quarterback than what the Ravens had. They don't need to go deep against the Chargers defense because they do like to blitz Ingram and really get pressure up the middle. So he could dump it to Sony Michel. He could dump it to Edelman. I don't see anybody playing the Patriots the way they're supposed to be played, where you drop your corners back and you move your corners up and play tight coverage and not give up the short thing and make him hold the ball to throw the deep thing. But I also think that the Patriots have an opportunity here to run the football. Not inside, but let Ingram blitz, trap him, and go outside. Sony Michel's a power runner with some speed. But they also have other guys like White that can come out of the backfield and catch the football, and they can run the ball, and they'll sneak the run on you. I also think that the Patriots' defense, although it's not as good as Baltimore's, it's also not as old and not as slow in certain areas. And it is certainly more experienced in postseason play. Plus, you have the factor that the Patriots are at home, And weird things happen to the Patriots at home. Fumbles aren't fumbles, they're tucks. Pass interference isn't pass interference, it's great defense. Non-pass interference is definitely pass interference. Clocks go weird on you in New England. All of these things work against the Chargers. And I don't know that the Chargers can handle that much at one time, which is why I'm picking New England to win this game in a close one. I'm going to say 27-20 Patriots. I think it's in the fourth quarter it's tied, and I think TB12 Tom Brady finds a way to win it in the end and puts the Patriots in the AFC Championship game for the 1 millionth time, which no one wants to see, but unfortunately everyone's going to have to swallow like that disgusting Dimetap crap when you have a cold. This is medicine no one wants, no one needs, but the NFL is going to keep shoveling it down our throat. I hope I'm wrong, forever. Go Chargers.
Well, this is going to be certainly an interesting game. The Los Angeles Chargers, their real name, Anthony, they are 9-0 outside of LA.
I know.
The New England Patriots are 8-0 at home.
Something's got to give.
In Tom Brady versus Phillip Rivers matchups, Tom Brady is 7-0. My oh my, this does not favor the Chargers.
No.
But I'll tell you one thing that the Chargers have, and that is a defense that can really stop Tom Brady. Yes, they can try to run Michelle. B-Bane's going to eat Sony Michelle for a snack. Yes, they have James White. I understand he's a really good pass-catching running back out of the backfield. And yes, he's dangerous. We've seen it. But they have Melvin Ingram, who can run with him if he wants. They have other running backs who they can run after. The thing what the Patriots are going to do, they see Ingram on one side. They see Joey Bosa on another. And what the Patriots are going to do is exactly what the Eagles did in their other game, in their first game. And that is three-step drop, throw the ball. Because they can't afford to get Tom Brady sacked. And the Patriots can't afford to have a rattled Tom Brady. On the other hand, that Chargers offense is going to eat the Patriots defense for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and then a side of dessert. Because Rivers is on a mission. Rivers wants 2007 back like no other, because he knows if he didn't have a slightly torn ACL, that the Chargers would have won the game. And he has been looking for this payback for now 12 years. And what the Chargers are going to be able to do, they are going to get Hunter Henry back for this game. And I'm going to use your line that you used this afternoon with me, Anthony. They're going to utilize a lot of two running back sets, and Melvin Gordon is going to be able to run any which way that he wants, because there's going to be a lot of blocking for him.
Yeah.
There's going to be nobody to cover Keenan Allen. There's going to be nobody to cover Mike Williams. And when the Patriots think that they have one of those guys covered, here comes Tyrell Williams. Here comes Travis Benjamin. Here comes Antonio Gates. I'm taking the Chargers in this game with the utmost confidence, but also know that the Patriots are the Patriots, and they do well at home for a reason. They do well in the playoffs for a reason. 27-24 Chargers.
Ooh, we're almost the same score. All right. There you have it, forever. He's got your team going to the championship. I'm hoping your team goes to the championship game, but I'm picking the Patriots. He's picking the Chargers. Next up.
End of the Patriots dynasty as you know it.
Hopefully. And certainly least, in Eric's eyes, the Eagles and the Chicago Bears in what was, if you weren't a fan of one of those two teams, just a really nice, old-fashioned, smash-mouth football game with great defense and double doinks. I'm going to say one thing on this game. Mitchell Trubisky became let's go through the list. Deshaun Watson, Jackson, and Trubisky. They were all first-year playoff experience or first-time playoffers, if you want to call them that. All three lost. Trubisky didn't lose this game. The kicker lost this game. Now, it's funny to me. Yes, it's true. From a coaching standpoint, you never lose a game because of one play. However, you can lose a game because one player doesn't do what he's supposed to do. The ball is supposedly blocked. I'm telling you, regardless of that situation, when he kicked the football, I looked at his face. And that was the face of someone who said, mentally, I just wasted my good kick. I'm going to miss the next one. There could have been no one on the field. And I think Parkey misses that kick. Block or no block, he's missing that kick. So he had no confidence. And that's a problem when you're a kicker. Now, my issue is you have a great play by Trubisky at the end of the game to win it. You have a great comeback by St. Nick to put him back in the lead. And then Trubisky leads him down the field. And it comes down to that guy who's already missed 10 field goals. I wonder, were the other 10 blocked too, just out of curiosity? You know, when he doinked the upright 14 times against Detroit, were those blocked? I get irritated with this, and this is my 2 cents, because I think the Bears outplayed Philly in every facet of the game, okay, except for the last 2 minutes. And even then, offensively, they were there. They arose to the challenge. There's something about this Eagle team that freaks me out. And I'm going to taste it firsthand in 2 weeks. I have a feeling. But putting that aside, when Gary Anderson missed his field goal, they tore him to shreds in Minnesota, and he was never the same again. Scott Norwood, when he missed a game-winning field goal in the Super Bowl, they tore him to shreds, and he was never the same again. Why is this kid Parkey getting a pass by everybody?
He is not.
He better not, but he is in the media. Everyone in the media is like blaming everything but him. He lost the game. He had an opportunity to win it with his right foot. He made it. He got rattled by the timeout, and he missed it. Block or no block, he was going to miss it. That's my 2 cents. Chicago played a hell of a game. Eric, you have a lot to be proud of. The Bears' future looks great, and I cannot wait to see Le'Veon Bell donning number 26 in the Chicago Bears uniform, because he is going to tear crap up in 2019 for the Chi-Town Bears. But you lost to a team that's the defending world champions. They're not an easy out. And Nick Foles is writing a book no one's read before. And it's amazing. Take it away.
Nick Foles is creating a quarterback controversy in Philadelphia, and he doesn't even know it.
No.
The Bears offense scored 6 points in the whole game. Parkey scored 9. It was the 10th, 11th, and 12th point that he needed the most that he couldn't get. Trubisky threw for over 300 yards. He had a touchdown. He also was sated by a couple of boneheaded mistakes and penalties in the game. From the get-go in this game, I figured running was going to be hard to come by, and it was. Jordan Howard led all rushers with 35 yards rushing. And I figured the Bears defense would clamp down on Sproles and Smallwood and Adams, and that's exactly what they did. I wanted to see what they could do against Alshon Jeffrey, and he got a couple of catches, but that was it. From the middle of the first quarter, and if you watched any of Trubisky's passing, especially this year, he has from I don't know what it is, but he has difficulty throwing the out and up to where the quarterback knows what's going on, and it's a ball that's easily picked. And it almost was in this game by the cornerback Maddox. but he didn't get his second foot down, and so he got away with one. Trubisky also has a problem with rolling out of the pocket, throwing back over across the middle of the field like every other quarterback's known to man, and the Eagles had an easy pick in the end zone, but it was dropped. Okay, he does that a lot. He gets flushed out of the pocket, throws it into the end zone, and there's always somebody there. Middle of the first quarter, as I'm watching the Eagles cornerbacks defend the short passes, and I'm watching Maddox break on outs toward the sideline, I keep yelling and talking and trying to post wherever I can to run the out and up. Run the out and up, and you'll get it every time. The Bears ran it twice. The Bears ran it 3 times. Twice with Robinson, once with Bellamy. Now, the first one with Robinson was actually if I have the terminology right, it was an in and then an out. Robinson went up the field, went in a couple of steps, and then went back up the field.
Yeah, it's an in and out.
And in and out, and he got a big gain out of that. Then he finally ran the out and up, and he scored a touchdown on that. Robinson had 143 yards receiving. I knew he would have a big day. I knew he would.
Yeah.
Because the Eagles secondary was not that good. Now, they were able to get Josh Bellamy on an out and up, but for some reason, a wide receiver doesn't know how to go up and catch a pass and stay on his feet because he would have had an easy walking touchdown.
Yeah.
Trubisky came alive in the second half. The Bears defense had 1 sack. They created 2 turnovers on 2 picks by Foles, which I thought could have been huge because that game could have easily gotten out of hand if that was the case.
Yeah.
However, teams who have won the turnover battle with getting 2 turnovers since 1990 were 4 and 84. The teams that lost the turnover battle by 2 turnovers. Making 5 and 84 now. And that's not a stat that I want to be a part of.
No, that's a tough one.
However, I look at this game and it's a big learning experience. Now, a lot of people are talking about Cody Parkey after the game. And rightfully so, because he had one of the biggest kicks for the Bears to advance. And a lot of people were expecting the Bears to go far in the playoffs. Just the way it was set up and where everybody was and who they could potentially be playing. One player was actually in attendance at the Bears game who is going to be a free agent when the new year starts over. And that was Robbie Gould. He actually took in the game, brought his couple of sons with him, and he was in the game. So, of course, a lot of speculation is bring back Robbie Gould. Robbie Gould has 82 for 85 since the Bears let him go. Now, they let him go after he had a bad year. But I won't be surprised, even though Parkey is due $3 to $3.5 million in guaranteed money, that he's not on the team March, April, May, somewhere around there, and they bring back Gould. I will not be surprised one bit.
He's a great kicker. You should never have gotten rid of him.
Yeah, I blame the head coach. I blame the GM for doing that. And, you know, is what it is. Foles played well. He had a lot of 3-step drops, got the ball out of his hand really relatively quickly. And Philadelphia, since the 2017 postseason started, they are 4 for 4 on 4th downs. Small sample size, I know. Small sample size, I know.
Well, Eric,
but
it's the reason.
It was a really good pass that he had to Golden Tate on 4th down in the end zone.
It's the reason the only reason I picked the Bears is because of you. Everything in my fiber was telling me pick Philly, pick Philly, pick Philly, pick Philly. I didn't. They're a tough out, man. They're a tough out. Eagles advanced 16-15 in a close one. Next up, New Orleans. I'm not making the same mistake in this game that I made against the Bears. I'm looking at the Rams and the Saints simultaneously, the 1 and the 2 seed. Now, the Rams beat Detroit 30-16, and everybody got on them about losing looking like crap against Detroit. Then they go into Chicago, play a damn good Bears team, play a defensive game like they haven't all year long, but they lost 15-6, right? Then they come home against Philly. I believe their emotions were drained. I believe that there was a lot going on physically, that the Rams were starting to doubt themselves. Coming out of the bye week, things weren't working right. They struggled. They turned it on at the end, but it was too late, and they lost 30-23 to Philadelphia. At that point, everybody wrote the Rams off. They're going to be one and done. They're going to lose to the 2-14 1986 Buccaneers. Everyone and anyone's going to beat the Rams. Everyone wants to play the Rams in the playoffs. Let's look at the Saints over that same period. Okay? They lost to Dallas 13-10. They barely beat Tampa Bay 28-14. They barely beat Carolina at home. Those two teams didn't make the playoffs this year, folks. Philly and Chicago did. Then the Rams played the last 2 games at home, much like the Saints. The Rams beat the Cardinals. Sorry, 1 on the road, 1 at home. The Rams go on the road. They beat the Cardinals 31-9. Everyone's like, it's the Cardinals. Let's not get ahead of ourselves. The Cardinals suck. What about the Buccaneers? What about the Panthers? Okay, fine. The Saints play Pittsburgh, and they win. Barely. A Juju Smith-Schuster fumble is why they win the game. And they struggled mightily against another non-playoff team. Then the Rams beat the doors off of San Francisco for 3 quarters, put in their backups, and the game looks closer than it is, but even still, 48-32, still a pretty good tail whipping. And the Saints get spanked by Carolina at home. Crickets. The Rams are garbage. Then what are the Saints? You know what the Saints are? The Saints are one and done. Because St. Nick's coming to town, and it's still Christmas in Philly. Fletcher Cox is going to put pressure up the middle, which Drew Brees does not handle well. The Eagles are not going to allow the Saints to run the football, which is going to make them one-dimensional. Now, that one dimension is pretty damn good. And they're going to find their openings, and they're going to find their holes, but are they going to find it enough? I don't believe they will, because I think Philly proved it against Chicago, and they'll do an even better job against New Orleans in getting pressure up the front. Not to mention the Saints' offense is absolutely non-existent right now for the last 5 to 6 weeks, and no one's talking about it. Everyone's talking about the Rams' problems, but nobody's seeing the elephant in the room here, which is that we have a very vulnerable 13-3 1 seed as well. The difference between the two is the Rams have turned it on, and the Saints haven't. Philly goes in, they play a physical game, they get the short passing game working, they find the running lanes when they need to. Foles will struggle. This will be a low-scoring game, but at the end of the day, it's going to be Philly with the football with about 2.5 minutes to go in the game against the Saint defense. And I trust Nick more than I trust that Saint defense. I'm going Eagles 23, Saints 21. Field goal at the end of the game, touchdown, I don't know, but Philly wins and advances to the conference championship game. I'm not picking against them this time. I didn't want to pick against them against Chicago, but I did. I'm not doing it against New Orleans. Upset if you want to call it that, but the Saints got to prove to me that they fixed this problem in New Orleans, because it's a problem right now, and no one's calling it out for what it is. But they'll be quick to say anybody can beat the Rams, and nobody can beat the Saints? Okay. Well, nobody except the Philadelphia Eagles, I guess. Eagles win 23-21. There's so many problems that the Saints have. I've circumvented it. They've got to stop Fletcher Cox up the middle. They've got to protect Breeze against the blitz. They've got to make sure that they get sustained drives going. I don't know how they're going to find running lanes, but you can run on Philly. They got to find them and they got to run them. Those are the keys for New Orleans, but in the end, I think it's too much Philadelphia defense and St. Nick.
Last time these two teams met was in the Superdome, and it was Carson Wentz who brought the Eagles into New Orleans and probably got the doors blown off 48-7. They were lucky to score those 7 points.
Yep.
It ain't Carson Wentz at quarterback for the Eagles this time around. It is Nick Foles. And Nick Foles is going to keep this game close, but Nick Foles is going to come up short for Philly in a potential upset bid against the New Orleans Saints. Now, the Saints, you could say we're struggling toward the end of the year, and that might be putting it loosely and lightly. If you ask Anthony what it was, he'll go off on a 10-minute tangent about how the Saints stink.
I'm not saying they stink. I'm saying if it's good enough for the goose, why isn't it good enough for the gander?
So I'm going to tell you 10 reasons why the Saints are primed to make another run like they did 9 years ago. And now let me finish before you actually start chiming in with your thoughts. Number 10, the Saints in 2009 and 2018 were 13-3 with the number 1 seed. Number 9, the Saints had 3 losses, and both years they lost to the Cowboys, Bucks, and Panthers. Number 8, in 2009, the Cowboys snapped the Saints' 13-game winning streak. In 2018, the Cowboys snapped their 10-game winning streak. Number 7, the NFC East has a lot to do with the Saints. Call it coincidence, call it whatever you want. But the last time the Cowboys and Eagles both made the playoffs, 2009-2018. Number 6, the NFC South standings also take precedence. Because the Falcons finished second, the Panthers finished third, and the Buccaneers finished last in 2009 and 2018. Number 5, Drew Brees did not play Week 17 in 2009, nor did he play in Week 17 in 2018. Nope, Mark Brunell started for the New Orleans Saints, and Teddy Bridgewater started in 2018. But what's also funny is that they played the Panthers both in Week 17 of both years, and the Panthers started backup quarterbacks. Number 4, Drew Brees has led the league twice in total quarterback rating. Care to guess which years, Anthony? I'll answer them for you. 2009 and 2018. Number 3. Actually, this is a very interesting title. It's called Legatron. In 2009, or since 2009, Drew Brees is one of only 2 current Saints players who's been on the team every year since 2009, and that's Tremont Bushrod. The other player was Thomas Morstead. And this year, Thomas Morstead, a.k.a. Legatron, now I don't know if they stole that from somebody else or not. I'll let you be the judge.
Yeah, they did.
He has averaged exactly 60 yards per punt. The only other time he's averaged exactly 60 yards per punt, care to guess the year?
2009.
Number 2, defensive leaders. In 2009, the team leader in tackles finished the season with 110 total combined tackles. And that player was Jonathan Vilma. The only other time in the Sean Payton area the team leader finished with 110 total tackles? 2018, Demario Davis. Both former Jets linebackers. And number 1, Run Drew Run. Obviously, we all know Brees is a passing quarterback. He's broken the records and what have you. He's also given plenty of credit for his ability to step up in the pocket and extend plays with his footwork. He can also punch the ball in the end zone himself if needed. Drew Brees has rushed for a total of 22 touchdowns in his career. He has rushed for more than one touchdown in the same game only twice in his entire 18-year career. Once in 2009, once in 2018. Yeah, that's kind of...
Here's another fun one.
That's kind of a coincidence. But in 2009, Brees rushed for 2 touchdowns against the Dolphins. What's so interesting about that, you say? It's the same location the Super Bowl would take place later in the same year. The same location, Drew would later go on to hoist Lombardi. In 2018, Brees rushed for 2 touchdowns in Week 3 against the Falcons. And that is the site of the Super Bowl this year as well.
Well, here's another one. Let me throw this one at you. Their opponent in the NFC Championship game would have had to have beaten the Dallas Cowboys to get there. The Vikings in 2009 beat Dallas, who beat Philly in the wild card game under Tony Romo and then went to Minnesota in the divisional round, and the Vikings beat the Cowboys to go on to the NFC Championship game against the Saints. This year, Seattle loses to Dallas. Dallas goes to LA. If the Rams beat Dallas and plays New Orleans, there's another 2009-2018 coinky-dink. So I'm guessing you're picking the Saints.
I'm picking the Saints 30-26.
It's going to be a fun game. All right. Wrapping up this show, there's been some coaching moves. One of them I'm actually not real thrilled about. Kitchens in Cleveland. I think that's a dumb move. So far, every team that has fired or gone with the offensive coordinator to be the head coach to help the growth of the quarterback have played miserable the next year. Eric, why don't you tell the lovely fans of Total Football Talk who those teams are and how they fared?
All right, well, I'm going to give everybody a little background that a lot of people that are being hired are using Sean McVay in their press conferences. And because they want the next Sean McVay. They want the next Sean McVay. Next Sean McVay. You're going to get Sean McVay thrown down your throat for the rest of the season. Probably next, too. And for good reason. He's done a great job in L.A.
Problem is, there's only one Sean McVay.
That's right. That's right. Guys are like, hey, we're not trying to hire the next Matt Nagy because he did wonders. But whatever, another parallel to the Rams. There you go.
Yep.
Anyways, so the Cleveland Browns hired Freddie Kitchens and decided to relieve Greg Williams of his interim head coaching duties. And while I know Anthony's not a big fan, I'm 50-50 on it, and I'll tell you why, is because all I've been hearing is that somebody else would have hired Freddie Kitchens, and I believe that to be true.
I don't.
Just who would it be? I don't know. It could have been it could have been Cincinnati. It could have been the Jets. It could have been the Dolphins. We don't know. We don't know because it couldn't happen. So now Greg Williams is out looking for a job, whether that's head coach or defensive coordinator. I'm sure he won't be out of a job long.
The Jets just signed Adam Gase.
So, yeah, we'll get to that. But I see this as being similar, but I think it's going to have a better ending than what Tampa Bay did a few years ago when Lovie Smith was the head coach and Jameis Winston was doing really well with Dirk Cutter as his OC, so they decided to let Lovie Smith go and fire him, hired Dirk Cutter because they didn't want to lose him to somebody else. I don't think it really worked out that well because Tampa Bay hasn't done much.
Yeah, and you know who else pulled that move? How about the New York Giants letting go of Tom Coughlin for Ben McAdoo? That worked out oh so well for the New York Giants, didn't it?
Well, I mean, the Giants already did win 2 Super Bowls.
And they fired their coach for a loser no one heard of that had no business being a French fry maker, let alone a head football coach. I wouldn't trust Ben McAdoo with children, let alone my offense. Anyway.
So we'll see how it works out with Freddie Kitchens and Baker Mayfield. I still expect Baker Mayfield. I think Baker Mayfield's already better after 1 year than with Winston going in his 5th year. He's far and above better.
Yeah. All right. How about the Cardinals with Kingsbury?
The Cardinals hired former USC offensive coordinator Cliff Kingsbury, who was the head coach of both Houston and Texas Tech. He was 35-40 career at Texas Tech, yet worked well with Patrick Mahomes, which I think they're trying to. I think they're trying to think that that he's going to work wonders with Josh Rosen, and that remains to be seen. I mean that the USC offense was prolific under Kingsbury.
Are you joking?
Very much so joking.
I was going to say. I couldn't see your face at the moment, and I'm like, do I correct him?
I'm 35-65 on this hire.
I think it's a crap hire. Period.
I'm leaning more so that way. I'm curious to see what he's going to do if they get any more talent around. They do hold the first pick of the draft. If they don't trade it, which I think there's a really good chance that they do.
I think they need to.
You know, they would trade it for a team who's looking for a quarterback, but no quarterback is standing out. The Cardinals could get a home run hit and select, one of the 2 best defensive players in the game to help solidify the defense, but they need a lot of help on defense.
Dude, they need offensive line, Eric.
They need a lot of things.
They need look. You got a franchise quarterback. You cannot leave this guy out to dry. If you are not drafting a lineman in the first round, you should be fired and sued for malpractice.
Well, again, that's why it's better if they trade the first pick.
Agreed. That I agree with. And you trade him to somebody who has a couple of ones. And you get those ones this year. You want to throw a second in next year? We'll take it. Just saying. That's the play the Cardinals should be moving on. Todd Bowles is a D coordinator somewhere. Where did he sign?
Todd Bowles signed on with his really good friend down at Tampa Bay, Bruce Arians, who is now the head coach, and
That's right.
Bowles is a defensive coordinator.
That's going to be a tough team this year coming up.
It's going to be tough, but I'm really curious to see how Bruce Arians works with Jameis Winston.
Oh, he's not working with Jameis Winston.
That's going to be the tell-all.
He's not going to work with Jameis Winston. He's going to let him go.
No, he's not, because the GM, Jason Licht, already came out and said, we will be picking up Winston's option, and Winston will be the quarterback, so don't ask about any other quarterbacks, because Winston's our quarterback.
Wow. Then never mind. The Buccaneers will be garbage.
Yep, they will not be. They will be picking up Winston's option, and I won't be surprised if they sign Winston to a long-term deal.
Well, then, Bruce Arians, you are about to have a terrible second stint. You didn't have a losing season, but I think one. I think you were 7-8-1 in Arizona 1 year. Get used to 4-12. That's your future now in Tampa Bay with that guy as your quarterback.
I will tell you the Cardinals still held Arians' rights, and the NFL said that they didn't need to provide compensation, but the Cardinals and Buccaneers worked out a deal to where the Cardinals would get the Buccaneers 6th round pick, and the Buccaneers in turn would receive Bruce Arians in a 7th round pick.
All right, whatever. That's basically nothing. So, all right. Adam Gase to the Jets, I'm fascinated with. I believe in Adam Gase, and now he gets a real quarterback with some weapons. He's got to find himself a running back. What do you think of that hire?
I'm 50-50 on it, only because Adam Gase is choosing to go the route of Rex Ryan, and that is to stay in the AFC East, with a different team like Rex Ryan did with the Jets in Buffalo.
Yeah.
And I know you said he's got a real quarterback and he's got weapons. He might have a Le'Veon Bell to hand the ball off to next season as well.
Mm-hmm. Well, he needs a running back. He needs a running back. So
the Jets and the Colts actually have the two highest salary cap figures to actually use on free agents in the offseason.
Be interesting. All right.
It'll be very interesting. I'm curious. I'm going to wait till about halfway through the season to see how the Jets play to see to give my Adam Gase thoughts, because I know he worked with a lot less talent down in Miami than a quarterback and two quarterbacks who really, I don't believe, have any business being on a football field anymore.
No.
But he does get a lot. He does get a lot more talent on the offensive side of the ball with the Jets.
He does. He does. We'll see what he does with it. All right. Well, that's the divisional round wrap up.
No. Vic Fangio, the Bears defensive coordinator, is now with the Broncos.
He signed his head coach?
He signed on as head coach.
Wow.
Gary Kubiak is going to be the offensive coordinator.
Oh, that's right. You said that this morning.
And then what's interesting is the Bears play at Denver next season. So I say run up the score. But Vic Fangio leaves the Bears defense, who was top 5 in points allowed and yards allowed, and he goes to the Broncos, who are top 5 in points given up and yards given up. So we'll see how that works out with Case Keenum as his quarterback. And then, which Vic Fangio finally deserves a head coaching job. I was actually hoping they would go with Mike Mularkey, the offensive line coach from the Steelers. Not Mike Mularkey, it was somebody else. Mike Munchak, sorry. And I was hoping they would go with him, and so we would lose Fangio, but it is what it is. He deserves a head coaching position. I know a lot of teams are trying to go younger, but he's 60 years old, so we'll see how that works out for him.
Well, and I just don't like the idea of Kubiak with him, because Kubiak's won a Super Bowl, and who is John Elway going to listen to? Vic Fangio or Kubiak?
I understand that. And then the Packers signed Matt LaFleur, who has been with 4 teams in the last 5 years. So he's kind of gotten around. I'm not sure what to think about this hire. I'm really not in favor for it. To me, if I'm going to hire a coach, I want some stability as far as where you've been. Like, LaFleur has jumped around. He was with the Falcons in 15, 16, and 17. Then with the Rams in 17, the Titans in 18, and now the Packers in 19. And
in none of those instances was he the O coordinator. In none of those instances, even McVay said that he called the plays last year, and LaFleur did not.
He held the title. He didn't call the plays. Which is big.
Yeah. That's like, I'm not even going to go there. Look, the bottom line is.
Hold on. He did call the plays down in Tennessee with Mike Vrabel as the head coach. Tennessee's offense was really nothing. They put up like 2 good offensive games, and one of them was against Patriots.
Yeah, they look like crap all year long.
And I'm sorry, but you expect people to believe that you were supposed to work really well with Matt Ryan, and then maybe even Jared Goff, if you even talked to Jared Goff when you were in LA. But then you were the offensive coordinator, in Tennessee, so you had to had a lot of time with Marcus Mariota. Mariota didn't take a step up. Marcus Mariota's been pretty much average his whole career so far.
Yeah, he took a step sideways.
And now you're going to go to a 35-year-old Aaron Rodgers, soon to be 36.
Well, you know why? You know why, Eric? Because Aaron Rodgers said that's who I want as head coach. And the Packers organization went, okay. I'm sorry. Aaron Rodgers is the NFL's version of LeBron James. He's calling the shots in Green Bay. You want to know why they're not bringing in big-time talent? Besides the fact that his contract won't allow it? because he doesn't want the show to be stolen from him. They're not going to go get a big play wide receiver who's going to get a lot of attention from Aaron Rodgers. Certainly not going to get a defensive star. They may get guys on offense to make him look great, but they're not going to find anyone on defense to come to Green Bay. He doesn't want them there. He is LeBron James in a football uniform. You can love it. You can hate it. You can agree. You can disagree. I'm sorry. It's the truth. That is the only way you can explain LaFleur's hiring. The only way. So I'm glad, because I want Green Bay to suck for a long time, and they won't be but 500 next year, if that. And it'll be fun to watch as the Packers become irrelevant again. So, last thing, they're wearing the old-time unis. Bring your blues and yellows to the game on Saturday. Go Rams!
They shouldn't go to a different uniform.
No.
Bear down if you still can.
Yeah. Yeah, no kidding, right? Horns up.
Bear down.
You already said that. Yeah. Peace. See ya on probably Monday, folks.